大家好，我是 Dan Freidenberg，这是另一个 Chance Encounter。Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Freidenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. Power line today is kind of close. What's up again? It's Dan Freidenberg. How are you today, Snowy?
I'm great. Thank you so much for asking. And it's amazing that you studied in Chinese.
Well, I lived in Taiwan for 15 years, so it's just a sentence or two. But for those of you in the audience who've never seen a chance encounter before, what I do is I interview commercial real estate investors, and then I ask them out of the five different motivations that I've found for getting your next commercial real estate property, I say, which one of these is you? And then I go through my Dan Does Deal die through the six different roles. I explain each different one. And then I say, which one is your core competency and what would you be most likely to do in your next deal as part of the GP team or whatnot. But one thing I think is very important to anybody's success is being able to effectively introduce yourself. So Snowy, could you please introduce yourself for the audience?
Hi, everybody. Nice to be here today. And my name is Snowy, and I studied multifamily investment since end of 2014. And we started learning about the multifamily investment syndication, and we started as a passive first and then did some single families, and we got our first multifamily syndication January 2017. And since that, we've done 11 deals so far, and also helping other people to get their first deal, second deal, and be their KP.
Excellent, excellent. So now people already know how to include you in their deals. But let me go to our first segment, which is about motivation. I find that a lot of beginners they don't know what role they'll play in a co-GP situation, but they at least know the motivation. So let's go through those. So the first one is some people need to preserve their purchasing power. If they make their wealth end up supplying all of their income, then their biggest fear is inflation. So as a result, you know, any of these REITs or any of those family offices, they have to keep on buying more assets just to stave off inflation, because that's how the party stops. So that's the first motivation. The second motivation is the one that matches mine most closely. My background is in e-commerce technology and mass marketing. And so that means I'm on the higher earning side of things. But I realize that if you have a high salary, then you get taxed in income tax. Whereas
That's right.
Exactly. So I switched my focus to co-GPing, and then that way my time is being rewarded with wealth instead. So that's what I'm up to. So that's the second one. The third one is the most common motivation, which is people want to fast track their retirement. And there are two things that are implied in that. One is that there's an end, there's a goal in mind. You know, there's an end point. And so these the people who are fast tracking their retirement, they might become an accredited investor and say, okay, I'm good enough. I don't need to really be involved in anything else. But the other thing about fast tracking retirement is it implies that you're working with some sort of savings or capital as you get into this. And you're not just starting from zero. But the next one, they don't have an end in sight. They are so ambitious, they just want to buy their whole hometown. And so at least as a co-GP team, you know that the people who are that ambitious, they're going to keep on hustling and hustling even in their 90s. So they're good people to have in this sort of business. But that brings me to the last one, which is some people have a sector of society, some like a group of people, or some people it's animals or something like that. But they realize that accumulating wealth is the best vehicle out there for making a real impact on society. And so that's why they're working hard to become wealthier, so they can make that sort of difference. So those are the 5 different motivations. Snowy, what are your biggest motivations out of those?
So that's a lot of questions. I was thinking about what motivation about ourselves. I think I would like to say about the retirement, earlier retirement, and then you buy your time back and you can do what you like to do and what you don't like to do. You have the right to choose what you like and what you don't like.
Right, yeah, the freedom it's very, very
Yes.
important. So you already mentioned that you're interested in the KP side, or that you're already a KP, but for the audience, I want to go through the different roles just so that we're clear on that. Anybody who who watches this, they'll have a better idea of how commercial deals work. So usually I explain the repositioner role first, because that's who I help more than anybody else, especially with the technology and that's streamlining acquisitions. But the repositioner's job is to look at many different properties and figure out which ones have upside, which properties have an opportunity where you can make more off of that property than it's making right now. And the 2 main ways to make sure there's upside is through more efficient operations. In other words, lowering your costs. But I have the money here going down the toilet, and the point of that is to let people know that bookkeeping and marketing, to keep the vacancy rate low, those are all parts of operations. So that's one way to increase the upside. But of course, right now it's the hottest real estate market in history, so that's probably not enough. So we end up getting a contractor team in there to make the apartment units nicer. And you're careful not to don't let the operations people do the contracting work, because nothing will be square. It'll be a disaster. And the other problem, though, is me, because I'm from the internet. I'm not going to be there in an hour or 2 if something goes wrong. So you definitely need a local. You need the boots on the ground, somebody who can be there quickly and oversee. They can check in to say, okay, are the operators actually doing their job? Are the contractors actually going to schedule? Are they cutting corners? So that's very important to the repositioner, to have that local in there. But that's more or less the day-to-day stuff. But when you're actually making the acquisition, you need to go to the financier, in other words, the bank, and say, hey, I need you to lend me a whole whack of money. And then they'll say, okay, so here's the deal, all that kind of stuff. And they'll say, who's the sponsor? And if you're just getting started, that might be really surprising, because you have to have somebody in your group who has a similar asset. So if you want to have a 100-unit apartment complex and you want to get a loan, somebody in the team has to already own a 100-unit apartment complex. So those are the 6 different 6 different roles. And your primary role is as a sponsor or a KP, right?
Correct. Yes.
So is there more to it than that, or is that is there any help that you'll do in operations or any of those other things?
So actually, main thing is our role is the sponsor and KP. We are doing the operation as well. So I would like to say that we live in Texas, and our properties are in Kentucky and Mississippi. So Mississippi, we got like really good third-party management there. So we don't need to do a lot of operation, just guide them, tell them what we want the property to be, and they will do what we told them to do, right? And in Kentucky side, we just had to take over our the management back ourselves, because we didn't get the enough support from the previous third-party management company. So now we're building our team there. And then also some of our friends that we partner with, we were the KP with, were doing the management operation for them too.
Excellent, excellent.
Mhm.
And so when one thing about real estate in general is that it's all about networking and knowing a bunch of
Yes.
people. And because everybody has different strengths, there are some people that you can help more than others. And so for you personally, what type of real estate person are you able to help more than any others? And just before you get too far though, do not break any SEC rules, okay? Which means no enticing investors. That's a big fat no-no. But who can you help in real estate more than anybody else?
So, I mean, like I always like to say that, well, networking, like you said, on the multifamily investment, it's really important. You can leverage other people's wealth. You can leverage other people's net worth, right? You can leverage other people's experience
Mhm.
that probably you are you are in need of those to get your first deal done. So um, I think for a lot of new guys, like when we started, we didn't have experience. Our net worth was not high enough to get our first deal, and maybe the liquidation was not high enough too. So a lot of things you can get from those people who already got all the experience and everything you need to get your first deal. And that's those are the people you would like to network if you really want to jump into the multifamily investment.
Right, right. So,
Yeah.
so you can help beginner investors more than anybody else. Okay,
Yeah.
great, great. And we met through some of the meetups that are on Zoom and whatnot, and I found those through LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Is LinkedIn the best way to reach out to you, or do you have a
Yes.
website?
Oh yes, LinkedIn is the best. I mean, I check my LinkedIn maybe like once a week, like that. And then we also have a website, wealthvehicle.com. So
Mhm.
anybody who like to reach to me,
Mhm.
check the website. Yes.
Excellent, excellent. And so, for those of you in the audience that don't know me very well, I already mentioned that because of my technical background in CRMs, that's client relations management software, I do help the repositioners both organize their contact database and segment them and make sure that they can do the marketing and outreach for that, but also the other automations that have to do with operations such as inventory, just basically anything that can be automated or scaled. That is what my career has been doing. So that's me. But about you in the audience in the little camera thingy there, I have a favor to ask, which is if you look under my hand somewhere over here, there's a red button, and red in this case is very, very bad because it says subscribe, which means you haven't subscribed, and that makes me sad. If you click on the button, it'll turn gray, and that makes me happy because YouTube will pay for these videos instead of me. So please do hit the subscribe button. It's very important because they end up paying me for it. But the other thing is it costs you nothing, and all it means is that if you hop onto YouTube, you might see some of my videos in your list of suggestions. So it's not going to be in your face or anything like that. But Snowy, thank you so much for joining me today. This is the only other question I have is your buy box or your ideal property that it's just easier to decide that this is the numbers work and the geographic area and the unit count is good. So what sort of buy box do you have for that?
So for now, we don't really focus on any of the small deal.
Mhm,
So ideally it would be like 100 and more. And
mhm,
then yes, job, population, opportunities there, and returns, right? If
mhm.
the number works, we will get them.
Excellent, excellent. So
Yeah.
that's great stuff. So make sure that you reach out to Snowy if she's a good fit for your team. Thank you so much for joining me today. This has been
Thank you then. Thank you.